This is going to be my series review of Burn the Witch, the anime. There's not really a lot. I went and rewatched my 3 videos to try and get an idea of what to talk about. There wasn't really a lot I didn't say. I repeated the same shit so many times in those videos just because I don't have a lot to say about the story itself. I don't know, it's a spin-off of Bleach, and it doesn't, there's so little connective tissue to Bleach that's all I really have to talk about is where's all the connective tissue to Bleach. My first bit of notes here is powers were interesting, but it still feels so different than Bleach. And there were, I think, I haven't seen like all the Keto and Bleach, but like they're either incredibly simple or once in a while you get one that's really abstract. Or they're supposed to be abstract, but they're really just simple, like Kirohitsugi. Every time Aizen uses Kirohitsugi, when we learn what it's supposed to do, it's supposed to like generate gravity and like force it in on someone and basically crush them with a massive force of gravity. But when he uses it on Komamura, it just like cuts him a bunch and just shit like that, where it just like, what the fuck? He's got 3 techniques, Shakuho, oh fuck, what are they 2 called? Sokatsui and Byakurai. And they're all like pretty much the same thing. Like Byakurai is a blue blast, Shakuho is like a red blast, and then Sokatsui is like fuck, lightning blast or something. The most interesting of them to me was always the Bakudo, just because a lot of them were like restraining and defensive stuff. But with Burn the Witch, I felt like there was a little more, there was more utility Keto type of moves. Like there was the weird gum Keto that was used for rappelling into a building, and there was the fucking supernal jail, and then the greedy curtain. Like those were cool, those were different, those were wild looking. And then you had Stun Ball, which is like a Shakuho, except it hits the dragon in the head and then its head just falls in half for no fucking reason. It's like, what the fuck? Why did its head fall? There was the weird gravity ability that Noelle used, where she shoots the ground around a Bulgo and fucking sends like all of the people attacking him up into the air, but not him. Like there was weird and cool abilities. And I love fucking Kubo's fucking the way that Keto works. Fucking you have to do an incantation and it like increases the power of the ability. That's very interesting. It's similar to how Jutsu would work in Naruto, where, you know, they'd have to do the hand symbols and shit, except this one's an incantation, making it closer to magic and stuff. That was always interesting to me. Bleach is a bit more interesting because there's multiple power systems at play. With Burn the Witch so far, we've just seen the 1 or technically 2 maybe, because Bang Knife has his like codes. He has codes instead of doing the generic magic number fucking with an incantation. And he had his weird graffiti shit. So that was different and it was cool. I thought it was really interesting that the Wingbind people had to use like devices to channel their Keto abilities. That was also very interesting. Changing it up from having a Zanpakuto. But it just, aside from those few bits of connective tissue, man, it just seems like such a fucking departure. Because, again, is Reverse London, it says Soul Society West, so is Reverse London supposed to be like where you go when you die? And if so, who's running that show? Because Wangbind seems to be obsessed with these dragons that just exist in Reverse London and shit, in the Soul Society, I guess. But like, there's still people that are gonna die, and they need to either have the Soken or whatever the ritual's called done, or they're gonna sit there and eventually their chain's gonna like erode or whatever, and they'll become hollow. And where does all that play into this? That is just the thing. Like, again, what the fuck are the dragons, and how do they connect to the Soul Society? Because I don't remember there being anything about fucking spiritual beasts and Bleach. Here's something actually about the series. There's too much Osushi and Bulgo. I know Kubo had Bulgo being like this important character that has all kinds of weird powers connected to the dragons and can control them and shit, but he's just such an annoying fucking character, dude. You couldn't have made him less fucking annoying with the Osushi shit and the obsession over Noelle. They just take away from the series and the episodes. It's just like, fuck. It was just so annoying. And what the fuck? What is Osushi? Is Osushi a dragon? It's a winged dog. What's Marshall and Noelle's familiar, and what's Bang Knife's familiar? Are those not dragons? Are they dragons that are allowed to, like, what the fuck? I don't understand. It's not explained. I like the combat. It's definitely not a straightforward melee fight like you'd be used to in a series. And obviously, again, it's not really a shonen. So you're not going to get going up and punching and all that shit. But for what it was definitely interesting. I always felt like Kido was lacking in Bleach. Bleach really lacked him a lot in their fights in particular. They'd end up being really simplistic when they shouldn't have been. So this, I felt, was more creative. A lot of the fighting in Burn the Witch was more creative. One thing I did bring up, the Wingbind emergency protocol scene. Wingbind absolutely has dark secrets. They absolutely are a dark, dark organization. Because they not only shut down and locked up the streets, which doesn't stop the dragon, it just stops people. It doesn't stop people from getting to the dragon. If anything, it prevents them from getting away from it. Which I realized is because, if you come in contact with the dragon, which was the thing with Osushi and Bulgo, if you come in contact with a dragon, you'd like, something happens. I don't remember if they said specifically, but I think you're killed. Like with Bulgo, you're just killed. So Wingbind is absolutely a dark organization, and they hacked people's phones, and you don't need to do that. They 100% are a dark fucking evil organization. I mean, they're not evil, they're doing it for the greater good, obviously, to maintain stability and all that bullshit, but like, they're not good. They're neutral at best. I still believe the Sabers, if this continues, will be revealed to be evil pricks, and that they'll be the main antagonists of the series, with the Inks kind of carrying that perceived role for a while before we find out that they're actually the good people, and that Nini and Noelle will team up with the Inks to defeat the Sabers in the very end. I think that's pretty much a guarantee, if the series continues. I already said the obsession with Noelle, not just from Bulgo, but from everybody. It's a gag and it's annoying, and I just didn't care for it. I didn't get it. It's just weird. The art, animation, expressions, and storyboard and directing were all fucking top tier, though. They were great. For all of the criticism I can level at the series, like, its production was incredible. Was never a moment watching it where I wasn't, like, impressed or absorbed into what I was seeing. Especially the scenes where you would have Nina flying up a building. Like, they would just turn the camera and you just get this huge shot of a building and her going up, and it would just be crazy. They had a few of those, like what I've talked about when the camera came around the door and the principal was there. Like, creative shit. The rest of the powers were creative. The final fight with Cinderella was really good. I already kind of talked about that. I already talked about the fairy tale dragon thing too in my episode 3. It's just weird. It's different and I don't dislike it, but I find it very weird. I find the dragon thing so fucking weird. I already said, like, they can't have information on them unless they fought them before, so they have to reincarnate or something. It makes no sense that they could just die, but the Inks say their goal is to kill them. It's so bizarre. Naming them after fairy tales and stuff, it's just... That's creative, naming them after fairy tales, but I don't know enough about fairy tales to know anything, so that's a thing that would be lost on me with the Continued Dragons. If they have references and shit, I wouldn't get them. Nina and Noelle seem very powerful for being like, they seem like regular Wingbind students or agents or whatever they are. I don't know what their status is really. But they seem normal, but maybe not, maybe they're the top of Wingbind. I have no idea. They just seemed really fucking powerful and really fucking competent to fight one of the supposed 7 major forces that were going to fight in the series and do as well as they did and survive. They seem very powerful to me. But again, I don't know what Kubo's vision for the series would be. Maybe it'd be, 100-some chapters and that'd be it. I don't know. It's not a shonen, and that's the important thing to remember. I'm viewing it through the lens of it being a shonen, but it's really not a shonen. It doesn't want to be a shonen. It has some shonen traits. I don't want to say tropes, but traits. But it's not a shonen. That being said, for them being powerful, those two in Bag Knife were hopelessly outmatched by Cinderella. And that made it all the more bizarre when the fucking principal just blasted in the fucking head and then we find out he's the son of a hero, and what the fuck does that mean? And that's what I would be more interested in seeing Balgo's stupid shit, because I'm just sick of his character. Seeing why he can wield a sword on that bullshit. I'm more interested to see about the fucking principal and who he is and what the fuck he can do and why he's hiding and how powerful he is. Yeah, that's really all I have to say about it. It's just not... It's not clear what the series is and what it's trying to be and what it's trying to do. I don't know if it's an action series. I think it is. It's a magical girl action series with Kubo spice thrown on it, right? But even so, dude, like, I should be able to recognize it as at least taking place in the same universe, and I really can't. And that's the biggest criticism I have of it. And maybe that isn't fair criticism, but I think it is. It's not just a story done by Kubo. It is meant to take place in the same universe as Bleach. Because of that, you expect to see stuff. You can't tell me that Wakamundo only exists counter to Karakura Town. That makes no fucking sense. And that's the issue with a lot of shonen stories, is that you end up with like a very small world, like that Baragon is one of the most powerful hollows in Wakamundo. Like that would take away from this, where like there should be a Wakamundo, part of Wakamundo where fucking hollows can come through to London. And if there's Lost Lorde in the Japan-esque area, assuming that there's like a whole Wakamundo world parallel to Earth, right? I don't know. It's not a full series. This is just a proof of concept. If it's a full series, I'm sure he would get into it. It's just hard to recognize this as being in the same universe, is my thing, or the point I'm trying to make. But for that, there was stuff I definitely liked. The use of phones and technology and it being a totally different vibe, I loved that. I don't need to see feudal Japan and Britain. Nah, we can have modern day Britain in this whole society. I don't care about that. It's just the whole afterlife thing didn't seem there. But yeah. I do want to read the Burn the Witch manga at some point in the future, but that's not going to be for a while. So I got some ideas for some other stuff. That's really my thoughts on Burn the Witch. I enjoyed it. It was a good series, and if it was made into a full like publication, I would definitely, or production or whatever, I'd definitely watch it, read it or whatever. But I don't know if that's gonna go anywhere. But hopefully we will see.